Hey, my name is Jake Cole. I am a junior at Pomona, rising senior. I am a double major in physics and Chinese, and I would really like to do something over the summer. And hopefully, this grant will give me the ability to pursue that. I want to start off with a really quick background before we jump into it, just so you know who I am and what I like and what I do. In high school, I was an athlete. I wrestled and I played baseball. I read a lot of books in high school. My favorite book is by John Irving. It's called The Prayer for Own Meanie. I listened to a lot of music in high school. I've had a country phase. I've had a jazz phase. I listen to a lot of music. I play music as well. I've played piano for coming up on 10 years now. Ironically, most of it is classical, not a lot of pop music. However, I enjoy it. Um, yes, I like going to the gym. I like being active. I like eating healthy. I'm really into hummus right now. I'm very love hummus. And I am not the biggest fan of blue cheese because I think it's sticky. And that's a very brief background on me. I like to paint. I like to paint too. But yes, so let's move on to the more professional side of things because this is an interview after all. um, so the opportunity that I am applying for this summer is at the University of California, Berkeley. It is with Professor Meng. Her name is Guanghao Meng, and it is an optical internship. Professor Meng runs the Visionary Optical Imaging Lab, also known as Voila, which is hilarious. And, excuse me, I have secured an offer letter from her. I will be working for 8 weeks and assisting a postdoc by the name of Shui Dong. And this is incredibly exciting for me for reasons that I will get into later. Uh, but yeah, so the way I found this opportunity is by cold emailing professors through my school email and introducing myself and saying that I really hope to work in your lab this summer because I really admire what you do and I hope you have space for me and I'll take care of everything else. And out of the professors that got back to me, of which there were only two, may I note, Professor Meng, the work that she does aligns best with what I want to do. And let's go more into detail with that because I think that's a very important part of why this internship this summer is so valuable to me. With the current political climate, I hate to start a sentence like that. With the current political climate, funding for a lot of STEM programs has been cut very drastically. Uh, there used to be programs called REUs, Research Experience for Undergraduates. I was fortunate enough to participate in one my freshman year for organic chemistry. But these REUs would support students who perhaps didn't have any other means of doing research, students from small liberal arts colleges like this one. They would support students to come and do research at a larger college with more resources. And it's a wonderful program. It's an amazing experience for anybody who's lucky enough. However, with the current funding cuts, a lot of these are not able to run because they lost their grants from the National Science Foundation. So it has reduced a lot of opportunities that are out there. As a result, I went on quite a journey. I tried to apply for internships, normal industry internships for engineering. That didn't pan out. And then I applied to, I think it's coming up on 15 RUs, something like that. And all of them rejected me or didn't get back to me. And so that was wonderful. So as a last resort, so to speak, I started cold emailing professors and asking them if I could work in their lab this summer, hoping to receive some kind of support from Pomona that would enable me to take this opportunity. And the reason why I chose Professor Meng is because she focuses on medical optics. She focuses on developing optical techniques for medical imaging to improve medical technology. This is what I want to do in the future. This is what I want to go to graduate school for. This is what I want to do my postdoc in. This is what I want to develop for hopefully the rest of my life. So her lab is very much in line, pretty much exactly in line with what I want to do in the future. And if I had the opportunity to do my graduate work in her lab, I would consider myself more fortunate than most. Yes, in addition, I am enrolled in a class called Optics Laboratory right now. That is kind of what sparked this passion for optics and what is propelling me towards the optics specialization in the field of physics. As another side note, the Chinese degree comes in very handy because a lot of the people who are working in this lab happen to be Chinese American. But that's just a side note, I guess. It's just a fun little coincidence. What I hope to gain from the summer experience is the skills to succeed in my chosen field. I'm sure this is a very general statement, but for me in particular, it's incredibly relevant because I have not had the chance to pursue much hands-on lab work. I'm very interested in experiments. I think experiments are a great way to utilize some of the creative problem solving. Going back to the creative side that I was talking about in high school, it's a great outlet for that. And I enjoy the creative part of it more than anything, which is why I enjoy experiments, because they don't always work. And you have to figure out how to make them work. However, I don't have a lot of physics laboratory experience. The aforementioned RAU, that was for chemistry. I was considering chemistry at the time, but now I've really taken to physics. And unfortunately, that RAU has very little sway in the realm that I'm looking to enter into. So, coming up on the summer of my junior year, the last summer before I potentially enter graduate school, I want to really solidify this experience. I want to gain more of it. I was having conversations with Professor Umbar at Northwestern, and he was informing me that what graduate school admissions really look for is research experience. And I don't have that right now. And so what I'm looking for this summer is to gain that research experience to enable me to be better prepared to enter graduate school and eventually the field of academia, which is what I hope to do. It also helps extremely that Professor Mung's lab is directly aligned with what I do. I consider it an incredibly serendipitous thing. I cold emailed most professors in optics, and only some of them focus on medical optics in particular, and it was incredible that Professor Mung got back to me. So please, I know I keep this incredible coincidence in mind every day. Now, major responsibilities. What am I exactly going to be doing during this? The program will run for 8 weeks, the first 2 weeks of which I will be focusing on simulations. These simulations are a little bit complicated to explain. Even I myself don't really understand them as postdoc work. It's 4.5 years away. But what we're doing essentially is we are applying physical principles to a certain function of optics, a certain function of light, and we are seeing how this function changes. And we are seeing if we can get it to change in the way we want it to change. If this simulation succeeds, then the following part of the internship, the next 6 weeks, will be spent helping the postdoc, her name is Shui Dong, will be spent helping the postdoc build this experiment that will enable her to test what we have found in simulations. If the simulations don't succeed, she will continue working in the simulations, while I, in an effort to get some hands-on experience with experimental physics, I will set up very basic experiments that will be useful in the future. There are very elementary components that are used for a variety of laboratory testing, and because we're aware of the general direction that Ms. Dong wants to head, we can anticipate what she'll need, and I can set up experiments. These are undergraduate level things that I can complete in time. So that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be simulations, going to be a lot of coding, a lot of math for the first 2 weeks, and the next 6 weeks is going to be setting up experiments that will be useful for this postdoc as she continues on with her work. The biggest part that I want to address, and the biggest thing that I want to emphasize here, is that research doesn't work. It never works the first time, and if it does, you're perhaps the greatest researcher in the world. So the important thing with research is to be adaptable, is to use that creativity, is to think outside the box, it's to make something from nothing. That's what research is. And this is where the liberal arts education, particularly the physics education at Pomona, will come in incredibly handy. Because it teaches you how to change. It doesn't set you in one rigid path, like, for example, some engineering curriculums. The way the classes are structured are such that you have to figure out a lot of things for yourself. And it's very self-directed, and if you cannot change and cannot adapt your way of thinking and your way of approaching problems, you will not do well. You will not enjoy it. And I don't know if I've done well, but I certainly enjoy it. And I think that the liberal arts education, for the physics program in particular at Pomona, has molded me in such a way that I'm able to adapt to these changing situations, and I'm able to conduct research and be comfortable conducting research, knowing that maybe it won't go anywhere, maybe it won't work, maybe we won't know the reason why. We just have to keep going until we figure it out. Finally, a message to donors. If I were given the opportunity, I would say what you're doing is the most incredible thing you can do for another person. It is perhaps the most impactful thing in these students' lives and in my life. Giving the opportunity to students who would not otherwise have that opportunity is incredible. The job market is terrible right now. A lot of prospects are looking grim. And to give funding to programs that will enable people to do the things that they want to do is something beyond words. I mean, it's maybe I don't know who you are or what you do, but if I had the opportunity, I would consider it one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I greatly appreciate it. All right. With that out of the way, thank you very much, and I appreciate your consideration.